Hi guys, welcome back to Y'all Hearing This. My name is Kay. Thank you so much for coming and joining us over here on Patreon. I am so excited to be jumping into this. So every Tuesday I've been doing lore videos over here, checking out just storylines from different K-pop groups, and some of them have through lines, like storylines throughout all different MVs or albums and things like that. And some of them have been more kind of like video by video that might be a little different, kind of an overarching theme maybe, but not necessarily like a story. But I have heard that TXT, which is who I'm checking out today, does have a very in-depth storyline. I think that happens with a lot of like Hybe groups anyway. So I'm really excited. So there's so much stuff out there, guys. So we're dipping our toe in for this one. There'll definitely be part 2, 3, 4, 5, probably up to like 10, because there's so many videos out there. So we're going to do one that's just TXT's storyline in less than 5 minutes, just a quick kind of intro. Then we're going to do just a couple other videos from Bookish Theories, who I really love. So we're going to check out a couple different things. I'm excited. So let's get into it.
Have you ever wished upon a star? Have you ever played childhood games with 20-sided dice, created fantastical realms with magic and dragons and song, the twinkling of a star overhead, wishing to always be together just like that? Has your wish ever been granted by a star? The funny thing about stars is if the dream isn't quite ready to become a reality, it falls asleep, and to all the world it would be dark. But a wish heard would always fight to be fulfilled. Far away, in another universe, this wish that lay upon a star started to take form again, and again, and again. An endless cycle thwarted every time by a being, with eyes of blue and green, seeking its own gains. A devil wanting to balance out the scale, to stop the growth and magic being granted to these boys of that star's destiny, furthering its own secret agenda. These cycles doomed each of the boys to a lonely eternity, forever mocked by the tragic ends their friends had met, and the sacrifices that were made because of their mistakes, either at the hand of the odd-eyed devil, humanity's greed, or the dragon they'd once wished into reality. Until we arrived at this universe's story. A universe where magic and song were once again united, like they'd originally wished, where they were idols, celebrated for their use of beautiful magic, and where they began to embrace their inner origins, ones that, at first glance, appeared to be monsters, ones that, in another tale, they might have run away to hide in a magical forest. But still, they resisted the calling fate placed in their path, for they did not want to be the boys of destiny. Saving the world was not what they had in mind, and so the devil swooped in yet again. But these same 5 boys had a different chance, for this time the star took a new form. Painstakingly sent through failed times and spaces, a 20-sided die, delivered by the dreamy ghost of the failed stars, the ones that fought to be recalled and seen. Remember my name. That was its plea, paired with terrifying visions of a failed future. In the other worlds, of which there were as many as there were stars in the sky, where the boys had succumbed to their temptation during the blue hour and allowed the world to fall into chaos, the star could not offer its hand, since the island the boys resided on could not see the stars in the sky, and thus, instead, its purpose was corrupted. This could not be allowed to happen again. Unlike Peter Pan, the boys couldn't live forever in the Neverland of broken promises. They had to grow up. Though they may have taken the wrong steps, taking careless deals with the sly devil that sat by their window, they had not yet doomed themselves. Fate, though it may have decided their true names, needed not to twist the same dark way every time. All that had to be done was find a single moment that hadn't yet become a rock, set in stone, and instead twist it into a star. Their star. Though the boys faced trials they'd once lost, whether it be fighting each other, the looming darkness, or those many factions who wished to control them, they would inevitably fall painfully. This time, it would end differently, for they learned a fall was not always a disaster, and that instead they would once again find themselves on the ground, this time ready to face the calamities head-on. In the chapter where they finally regained their name for themselves, refused sugary temptations they'd once fallen for, and twisted fate in their own image. Perhaps they might finally put an end to the blue and green that haunted their nightmares for so long. And the star that existed in eternity, those moments of alwaysness, it would always be waiting for the boys, reunited, to bring an end to the cycle of doomed nights, defeating it like the wish that started it all. It hoped to awaken once more and smile down at the 5 boys it had long been waiting for. So, let me ask you again. Have you ever wished upon a star? The end.
That was great. Obviously it didn't go into details, but
Hello
wow.
and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about Tomorrow by Together's Snap of a Star, focusing on the themes and symbolism portrayed on screen, as well as on the influences that inspired the star of the video.
Oh, I watched that in a film class once.
The song whose music video tells an imaginative tale of friendship and acceptance set in a fairy tale-like setting.
I really want to watch this video now.
The story has been already foreshadowed in the VCR of the group's debut. In that video, a boy suddenly grows horns on his head and runs away in fear of becoming a monster. While he is alone and surrounded by the shadows, he meets a boy with wings who tells him that his horns are beautiful, and the two, recognizing one another, become friends. In Nap of a Star, the concept anticipated in the VCR is developed into a full narrative. The themes of friendship, acceptance and change are prevalent here, and the symbolism used in the video contributes to the development of this concept through style and imagery. In Chapter 1, we see the 5 members playing around under the protective light of a star. The boys all have masks on their heads, and their disguises are styled in a way that foreshadow the physical transformations they'll go through later on. The Korean intertitles that appear on screen tell us that the boys and the star made a promise. In case they ever got separated, they would meet again there. But as time passed, the boys took separate ways and the star fell asleep, thus depriving the night sky of its starlight and making people forget about their dream. In Chapter 2, the story continues by focusing on Yeonjun, who wakes up in his bedroom and discovers that a set of horns grew on his head. The horns here resemble the antlers of a deer, an animal that symbolizes strength, kindness, rebirth and longevity. The reference to the deer imagery is important here because in many ancient cultures the animal was employed in ritual sacrifices, thus making it a symbol of innocence and victimhood. The deer, who is strong and fierce, is turned into a victim despite its gentle nature, which is something that closely resembles the storyline revolving around Yeonjun, who is horrified by his transformation and runs away in fear like a hunted prey. The boy leaves home and takes shelter in the woods, a place that is scary, dangerous and inhospitable. While Yeonjun explores, we see snakes, spiders, moths and a raven, all animals that have strong symbolic significance. The spider, for instance, represents mystery and growth. Because of its ability to weave nets, the animal also embodies the idea that we are the ones who weave our own destiny, which is an essential concept in the narrative we are presented in the video. Yeonjun is going on a journey here, a quest to find his identity and accept himself that forces him to go through the darkness in order to find the light. His transformation is not just physical but spiritual, and the animals that surround him symbolize this metamorphosis. The snake, for example, who is a creature that periodically sheds skin, represents rebirth, healing and
The Ouroboros.
transformation, an idea embodied by the moths as well, who are animals that also symbolize the balance between darkness and light. The raven, on the other hand, is an animal linked to transformation and prophecy. In Native American and Siberian folklore, the raven is a trickster and a shapeshifter, a creature able to change its appearance at will. But in other cultures, the animal is considered a divine messenger in the mortal world. We see this in Irish mythology with the Morrigan, who foretells dooming war, and in ancient Greece, where it was an animal sacred to Apollo, the god of the sun and prophecy. In the music video, the raven is depicted looming over a skeleton with its head turned in the direction Yeonjun is headed. This is important because its presence foreshadows what happens next. Just a few seconds later, in the background we see a dark hooded figure looking at Yeonjun from a distance.
That's creepy.
This is the same entity that appears flying on a broom the moment the star falls asleep, and could signify several things at once. On a more general level, the creature could be a symbol of danger, an entity that personifies death, which represents the perils Yeonjun has to go through in order to get to his destination. If we consider it in the light of the imagery associated with it, however, the creature could also be a witch, which is something that would explain quite a lot of what happens in the video. At this point, we still don't know how the overall story will unfold, so it's impossible to conclude whether the entity is to blame for the
I wonder
boy's
if that's the
metamorphosis or
devil,
not.
the blue and the
But the
green
groom
eyes.
and the black cat may indicate that something supernatural is going on. Witches are usually portrayed flying on a broom and are often associated with black cats, a symbol of magic, mystery, and power. Some traditions tell us that witches have the power to shapeshift into their animal familials, and many cultures consider animals with heterochromia, that is, animals with different colored eyes, as a sign of witchery. So, is the hooded figure a witch? Well, we don't know for sure, not yet at least. What we do know, however, is that Yeonjun is not the only one who is going through a transformation. Subin, for instance, is displayed with pointed elf-like ears. He is surrounded by bats, animals known for their great hearing, which symbolize both death and rebirth. In modern times, the bat imagery is also associated with protection, which is something that the group has already hinted at without us even realizing. After Subin, we see Taehyun, who has a star in his eye and an owl by his side, symbol of ancient wisdom and magic. The meaning of the star
And he's the
in
one
the
who
eye
does
is
magic
a bit
too, right?
obscure,
Yeah.
but the five-pointed star is generally considered a symbol of protection against evil and a sign of good fortune. Next we see Bumgyu hiding underground with spines coming out of his shoulder. The spines here recall the spines of a hedgehog, which is an animal that symbolizes protection and calmness. Last but not least, we have Yunin Kai, the boy with wings anticipated in the debut VCR. In Nap of a Star, we see that he has mechanical angel wings coming out of his back.
That's
and this
really
could
cool
represent
design.
love, protection, healing, and faith. As you can see, the four boys' metamorphoses are all associated in one way or another to the concept of protection, which is something that comes to fruition by the end of the video. In chapter 4, Yeonjun is attacked by the cat and runs away. In a moment of desperation, the boy mutilates himself by ripping one of his horns off of his head.
Oh.
This is a very powerful scene, and I think that the way the video portrayed self-harm is very thoughtful and respectful. The blue and red trees that surround Yeonjun while he is hurting himself strongly recall the shape of blood vessels, while the blood we see pouring from the wound turns into thorns, perfectly symbolizing the physical and mental pain the boy is experiencing. Like anticipated in the VCR video, Hyunjin, the boy with horns, is eventually saved by the arrival of Yunin Kai, the boy with wings, followed by Subin, Bumgyu, and Taehyun, who wrap Hyunjin in a protective hug. With the five finally reunited, the star awakes with the promise that something magical is about to happen, but to discover what's in store, we'll have to wait and see. What we can tell by watching this video is that the overall narrative is headed in a direction that will see the themes of transformation, friendship, acceptance and protection as central plot points. This was already anticipated in Crown and Cats and Dogs. In both songs, the themes I just mentioned are as prevalent as they are in Nap of a Star, and the focus on shape-shifting and animal imagery is meant to highlight the beauty of being unique and the importance of being surrounded by loyal and accepting people. In Nap of a Star, the main conflict is caused by change, by a transformation that happens unexpectedly and leaves the boys lost and isolated. Their diversity makes them look strange in the eyes of society, so they run away in fear because their uniqueness is scary. At the beginning of the video, when they are playing around with their masks on their heads, these changes are foreshadowed by the disguises they are wearing, and this makes me think that their eventual metamorphosis is meant to show their true selves, something they used to empower them during childhood but becomes an isolating factor when they become adults. As we've seen time and time again, Big Hit here is giving us an important lesson. The perception of who you are is heavily influenced by those around you. If you are surrounded by friends that accept your uniqueness and embrace their own, your diversity can empower you and make you feel beautiful. If on the other hand you are surrounded by people who are judgmental and close-minded, or even worse, if you isolate yourself from the world, fear and loneliness will make you look like a monster in your own eyes. Change here is portrayed as something unavoidable and scary, and it is, but it's not always negative. Change makes you learn and makes you grow. It makes you stronger and it brings you closer to those you love. In the video, the star wakes up when the boys reunite because together they can create something magical. By finding each other again, by accepting themselves in their strangeness, they remember their dream. Together, they look at tomorrow. The themes of change, magic and transformation are also conveyed in the style in which the video was shot, which strongly recalled the silent cinema era, and more specifically A Trip to the Moon, a movie by Georges Méliès, one of the pioneers of modern cinema. Born in Paris in 1861, Méliès was an illusionist and magician who was famous for his creativity and imagination. After attending a private demonstration of the Lumière brothers' cinematographer, Méliès understood the incredible potential of the invention and proceeded to create over 500 movies between 1896 and 1913. The Lumière brothers saw the cinematographer as a mere scientific curiosity, devoid of any artistic value, but Méliès saw it as a medium of experimentation and wonder. Because of his stage experience and his imaginative approach to reality, Méliès drew inspiration from theater and photography and invented many techniques that are used in cinema to this day. Just to name a few, his contribution to cinema gave us multiple exposure, superimposition and lap dissolve, while his use of masks, stage traps and circus acrobats helped paving the way in areas as diverse as makeup, practical effects and stunt work. Méliès' most famous film is probably A Trip to the Moon, a movie released in 1902 about a group of astronomers who lands on the moon and is taken prisoner by a group of Selenites, the inhabitants of the moon. Using the techniques I mentioned earlier, Méliès managed to create a tale full of wonder and emotion, and in Nap of a Star we see many callbacks to this classic picture. The title card of the music video, for instance, is an almost exact replica of the one we find in A Trip to the Moon,
that's cool.
And throughout the video we see quite a few nods to Méliès' film as well. The shot where Taehyun looks through the monocle, for example, recalls the iconic shot of the astronomers crash landing on the face of the moon. The scene where Soobin is experimenting with the umbrella reminds of the scene from the movie where the astronomers explore the moon and their umbrella turns into a mushroom. The shot of Beomgyu sleeping underground instead features an hiding place that looks very similar to the cave the astronomers visit. The style and the imagery Napova Star borrowed from A Trip to the Moon further emphasize the theme of change and transformation. Silent cinema represents a point of no return for our civilization because it changed the way we look at reality and entertainment. Now we are used to cinema, now we see it as normal, but try to imagine living in a world where for the first time ever photos started to move by themselves, where stories unfolded in front of your eyes and things appeared and disappeared at will. From a world grounded in the everyday life, people like Georges Méliès brought to life your wildest dreams and turned them into a reality. He created magic by taking advantage of change, like the boys did in Napova Star. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
I really want to watch that video now.
Requests for future videos, please let me know in the
This may
comments
be
down
one of my
below.
favorite
If you have time,
storylines too.
please consider leaving a like and subscribing.
Like,
I'll see you next time.
wow,
Bye-bye.
I really love it.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video I would like to take a look at Tomorrow by Together's teasers for Runaway, focusing on the video's breakdown and on what we could expect from the upcoming comeback. Judging by the overall vibe we are getting from the teasers, the Dream Chapter Magic will take the already magical concept of Dream Chapter Star to an all-new level. The Korean title for Runaway translates into Waiting for You at platform 9 and 3/4.
Oh really? That's
and right
so
off the
funny.
bat, we get the sense that the Harry Potter series will play an important role in the unfolding storyline. The first teaser shows the boys breaking into their school at night and running in the hallways trying not to get caught. The way these scenes are shot strongly reminds those scenes in Harry Potter when Harry, Ron and Hermione roamed around Hogwarts in one of their many adventures. In both cases, the protagonists are in a place they're not supposed to be and looking for something they're not supposed to look for. And when we cut to Soobin, we see him supposedly finding what he was looking for in the first place. As he enters in a classroom, Soobin finds a pair of colorful sunglasses left on a desk. He puts them on, and as the others join him in the room, he opens a portal using his finger. The portal could possibly lead him to platform 9 3/4, but where are they going and why? Well, let's take a look. In the concept trailer released a couple of weeks ago, the video shows them performing in a white room that projects numerous locations. We start from an urban setting, but soon enough their journey begins by leading them among the clouds. In these scenes they're standing on a yellow road, and this could be a possible reference to the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy and her companions traveled on a yellow brick road to reach the wizard's castle. The yellow here is very prevalent, and I think there's meaning behind it. Yellow is a color that represents happiness and warmth, and in the trailer it's used to symbolize getaways that helps the boys move from one place to another. We see it in the form of a road, as a hall, as a warm hall and as doors. And if the yellow does indeed represent happiness in this scenario, then this could imply that the destination of their journey is happiness itself. If we take a look at Dream Chapter Star, however, yellow is also a color associated to the star and to the gold material of the crown. This is important because if on the one hand the star is a metaphor for their friendship and for the power this friendship implies, on the other the crown they sing about is a symbol of self-acceptance and love. In the concept trailer, we see that the choreography makes several references to the star as something that brings them together and pulls them close. And this could possibly confirm that magic will further develop their unfolding storyline, which is something also foreshadowed in teaser number 2. The second teaser begins with Taehyun flexing his AirPods in a school hallway. This teaser is much less magical than the first one, but there are still interesting details worth looking into.
Visuals
Besides
on
the
point, though.
close-ups and the little sneak peek of the choreography, the teaser primarily focuses on Taehyun, Soobin and Hyunin Kai, and all of them are portrayed in ways that may clue us in on the reason they want to run away in the first place. Taehyun is portrayed in the hallway by himself. The fact that he is wearing AirPods may suggest a feeling of loneliness and isolation when it comes to his school life. thus implying that the environment he lives in is problematic in some way. Next up we have Subin, who is shown working on a blackboard. If Taeyeon's scenes represents the loneliness and isolation linked to school life, then Subin portrays the great pressure the students have to succeed. If we put the two together, this could actually imply that the comeback will focus on the struggles students have to face in their everyday life. By putting attention on loneliness and peer pressure, the underlying idea is that their routine can be overwhelming and isolating. And the scene with Hyunin Kai seems to confirm this as well, which is something that could represent the suffocating feeling young people have to endure in the school environment. If we connect this back to Dream Chapter Star, then we can see that there's an interesting narrative going on. In their debut VCR, we were told the story of a boy with horns who ran away in fear of becoming a monster. The boy, that in Up of a Star is played by Yeonjun, is seen ridiculed and bullied in the VCR, and this is what makes him afraid of the person he has become. He is horrified by his transformation and scared of what makes him special. But when he meets a boy with wings, that is Hyunin Kai, he realizes that being different is not something to be ashamed of. The underlying idea of Star was that the perspective others have on you changes the perspective you have on yourself. And the concept showed this both in the negative and in the positive. Because if on the one hand the bullies made Yeonjun afraid of himself, on the other Hyunin Kai proved him that being different is beautiful. The fact that in the Runaway teasers the boys are shown in isolation may confirm that magic could be connected to Star, because as the photos suggest, it didn't end. They want to run away because their life is still unsatisfying and overwhelming, but they want to run away together because their friendship is what makes them happy and accepted. The destination is still a mystery, but it's possible that the place they want to reach is Magic Island, which is one of the songs of their upcoming album. Other details that could possibly link the two albums are hidden in their previous videos, where we see them always undergoing some kind of metamorphosis. In Crown, the focus is obviously on the horns, but we also see them with cartoon tails in the background. In Cat and Dog, they follow the concept by once again turning into hybrid human-animal versions of themselves. And in Up of a Star, all of them are undergoing a physical transformation. These scenes suggest not only that all of them are special and magical in some way, but also that they might be able to transform into animals, but they are still unable to control their powers. This is interesting because in the Harry Potter series, a person with such abilities is called an animagus. And in the series, the most famous ones are the Marauders, a group of students formed by James Potter, Harry's dad, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin and Peter Pettigrew. In the story, James, Sirius and Peter decided to become an animagus because Lupin was a werewolf. His transformation was not something he chose, and it was something that made him suffer because he thought he was a monster. To prove him wrong, the others chose to become an animagus to make him feel included and make him understand that his condition was nothing to be ashamed of. And I don't know about you, but this sounds very familiar, don't you think?
It does.
If we look at Up of a Star, Taeyeon's eye and Kai's wings look mechanical, artificial, while Subin and Bongkyu's transformation are not as evident as Yeonjun's. Could this mean that they did this to themselves to help Yeonjun transform his horns into a crown? Could it be that the boys represent a modern version of the Marauders? Well, we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and if you feel like it, please drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye bye!
Oh goodness, I didn't even know she did 80s ones too.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video I would like to talk about Tomorrow by Together's Runaway, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of both the lyrics and the music video. Runaway is a song that deals with the desire to escape the sadness and pain of reality to reach a place where you can live happily and freely. The themes of friendship and belonging are very important here, and in the music video we see the boys trying to run away from the problems of their life as we follow them into a wonderful adventure full of magic and mystery. There's a lot to unpack here. We see a lot of fire, a lot of water, a lot of socks, but what does it all mean? And how does it connect to the storyline of the previous MVs? Well, let's take a look. At the beginning, the video introduces the boys in individual scenes that clue us in on what is about to happen, while Taeyeon listens listens to his own album because it's awesome, the other members are paired according to two different types of symbolism. We have Bumkyu and Hyunin Kai drawing lines, and Subin and Yeonjun associated with doors. While the door obviously represents a gateway or passage between the real world and the magical one, the lines are something that come up over and over again throughout the MV, and they represent the single sides of the pentagons we see in this shot here. The pentagon is a shape with heavy magical symbolism, and in the MV we see it containing a compass. If we look at the lines as a representation of each member, then this means that their connection gives them direction. By now, it's pretty obvious that all of them are magical in some way, but only together they are able to access their power fully, and this is because their power comes from the same source. The star. The star is the catalyst of their magic and what put them together in the first place. And even if in Runaway it seems absent, it's much more important than you think. In order to understand why, however, we have to go back to the lines first, because the line is a symbol that is also mentioned in Magic Island, which is a song that in turn is referenced in Runaway. Right off the bat, this is very telling, because these notes connect the different songs into a coherent storyline. In Magic Island, the starting line of their journey is the island itself, the place where promises and secrets began. And even if we didn't realize it, we already visited this island in the Nap of a Star music video. This is where it all began and where they are planning to escape. It's their forever place, the source of their magic and the location that represents their friendship and happiness. Now, this is all fun and games, but how does Runaway actually connect to Nap of a Star? Is it a prequel? Is it a sequel? Well, actually, it's both. Let me explain. In Nap of a Star, the story is divided into two timelines. At the beginning, we see the boys as children playing happily under the light of the star. In the story, the boys and the star make a promise to stay together forever, but then the boys grow up and get separated. They forget about the promise, and that's what leads them to trouble. Forgetting your roots implies forgetting your identity, and if you forget who you are, then it's easier for others to decide it for themselves, which is what we see happening in Crown and in the second half of Nap of a Star. In the story, Yeonjun is scared of becoming a monster because of the horns. But when he is reunited with the others, he remembers who he is and his horns turn into a crown. If you look closely, in the story, a time frame is missing. In Nap of a Star, we didn't get to see what happened between childhood and adulthood, and this is exactly where Runaway comes into play. The song opens by expressing a feeling of sadness and dissatisfaction. The boys here try to be happy but feel like crying, and that's because they need each other to be complete. This is the part of the story where they are separated. They might have forgotten the promise, but they didn't forget each other. And the lyrics continue by vocalizing their desire to reach platform 9 3/4 and run away. This is important because the reference to Harry Potter implies that they are aware their magic is real. But why? Didn't Nap of a Star say that they forgot? Well, the answer lies in Taeyeon, who, as it turns out, does much more than listen to his own music. If you look closely, in the MV, he is the only one who constantly looks at the camera during the plot-related scenes. And this is because, as Nap of a Star shows, he has the sight. If the boys' connection creates a compass, Taeyeon is the needle in this scenario. His role is to give direction to the rest of the group, because he remembers everything and is working to get the others to remember as well. If you think that this is a reach, let's take a look at the MV. At first, everything seems normal. Then Taeyeon closes his eyes and the magic begins. This is him channeling his powers, him reaching out to the star in his eye in order to help the others fulfill their destiny. This is also why at the end he is the only one who finds the little monster. He is aware of what is going to happen because his connection to the star is stronger. This is not to say that it's not the same for the others. As I mentioned earlier, the star doesn't appear in the video, but it's referenced in the choreography, which is something that shows us that even if they don't know yet, the star is inside of them. This idea is also conveyed at the beginning, where we see that things are suspicious even before they get magical. In the video, we see Subin drawing things he shouldn't know about and Yeonjun with a burn mark he shouldn't have yet. These are signs that the magic is lingering but is not yet free. In the lyrics, the song says that once they pass the tunnel and open their eyes, their dreams become reality. And these lines may foreshadow the idea that the drawings and the wound are dream residue that anticipate the future reality of them going to the Magic Island. Taeyeon here is the one triggering this transformation, but this adventure is a difficult one, especially for Yeonjun, who once again is the protagonist of the MV. This is because at this point we are seeing what leads him to acquiring the horns. His character is associated to a fire that the others are unable to put out, and the entire MV revolves around them trying to find a solution. On a general level, this symbolizes the importance of friendship and support in overcoming your difficulties, but in the plot, fire represents the magic awakening inside of them. Magic is something that belongs to their childhood, something that adulthood has repressed over time, but now it's coming back and they have to learn to control it. This is why they research about it and they break into the school at night. The fire is spreading and is causing damage. They are unable to put it out because they have to remember what it represents first. The scene in the pool perfectly conveys this idea. When the teasers came out, people were clowning Kai for entering the pool with socks on. But if you look at the pattern, it turns out that we are the only clown in the circus. The socks here have flames on them, because it's a visual representation of their attempt to put the fire out. The water here is much more important than it seems. Even if it's an element that's usually able to extinguish fire, we know that this fire is a magical one, so the water needs to be magical as well. The water in this scenario represents the flowing of time. In the song, the lyrics say that when the night is ending, they have to rewind the clock, and in the MV, this is exactly what happens in the pool. When they are playing, time is altered because water is triggering their memory. They are going back to their childhood, to the time where they played in the Magic Island. And once the connection is re-established, the island allows them back in. The scene in the forest is where their dreams become reality. A giant door sets itself on fire like it did in the beginning, but now they are allowing it to happen because they understand what it is. They know that it's their power awakening. That
Sugar
it's the
Rush
symbol
ride
of them
makes
coming
a lot more
home.
sense
And
to
all of them
MV
are
now
happy
too.
about it. All that is, except Taeyeon, who is the one who finds the monster. This is the beginning of something dark taking place. By awakening the magic, they have awakened the possibility to be overpowered by it. And this is exactly what happens in Dream Chapter Star, where their physical transformations start to take place. Something that's important to address here is that by the end of the video, Yeonjun's wound is transferred to the doll. At first, the little monster has a big heart, but now it's patched up, which is something that could possibly confirm that their magic will take a darker turn. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you
I love her videos. I could listen to her talk all day long, but that's really cool. I am always just like blown away with the amount of thought that goes into these storylines. And it's just something that's so cool and I think adds that other layer to the music too, you know? It's not like I don't think it distracts because I think they put just enough into like the MVs or just enough into the lyrics or just enough into the songs that it's not like you can totally listen to the song and have no idea any of that's happening, but it adds the whole depth to it for those that do. And that's why I love doing these videos. They're so much fun. I cannot wait to check out more on TXT. Definitely leave me any suggestions you may have for good videos. I did see some very long ones, so maybe I'll attempt that, but break it up into 2 or 3 parts or something like that. I think one was like 2.5 hours long or something. Or just kind of keep going with the bookish series ones because she kind of breaks them down, you know, kind of MV to MV and teasers and things like that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, just a huge thank you for coming over here and joining me on Patreon. It truly means the world to me that you support me in this way. So thank you. Love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.